Hello and welcome to Star Trek Reliant, the podcast where we talk about things and places in the year 2409, the magic space year of Star Trek Online. And tonight we have with us our full cast of characters, starting with our security officer, Chorog.
This is Chorog here. Like my Pirate Scum Gaming, I'm here to eat gach and start plasma fires, and I'm all out of gach.
Next, we've got our chaplain of our All Faiths Chapel and bartender and security officer, Grumpy Old Lord.
Hello, I'm Grumpy.
And next, we've got our con officer, Kara June Running.
Oh, sorry, I was just eating all of Chorog's gach.
And our chief medical officer and first officer, Eli O'Connor.
I'm Dr. Eli O'Connor, telling you to live long and be fabulous.
And our chief engineer, Rick Tier.
I am putting out all the plasma fires that apparent someone is making right now.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Tardigrade just wants to make s'mores, come on. And if he's on mic, but he'll be with us tonight, we've also got our man out of time, D.B. Wells. Wait for it.
He's muted.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, he's probably going to be in later.
That's the idea. I was just about to move on. So anyway, tonight we have a continuation of our last episode where we met with some strange aliens who are just conducting their first warp flight, but in the midst of a slight robot uprising. So these mysterious Dwemer, insert Skyrim noises here. These mysterious Dwemer have basically asked us for assistance through their chief scientist involved with the space program, and we've just generally concluded that, hey, we can probably go down and try to fix this. So, with that in mind...
Mind you, I am not 100% certain yet that I may not side with the AI.
We will see. I am just having to do some quick file transfers, because I'm having to use a different computer right now to set some stuff up. So, while I get started here, basically Captain Grace has given this sort of the go-ahead to basically start preparing for an away mission. So everyone's gonna be basically prepping up as much as they can for that, taking care of any business they have aboard the ship just before they transport down to the rocket launch facility that is overrun by robots.
You should bring Bryce along. He speaks machine.
You will bring Bryce along. He is our chief security person on the away team.
I feel like if Waitley heard that comment, he would facepalm.
Here, just a sec. I'm still working through some file stuff. Because I need some particular pictures. Alright. Apologies. But yeah, again, if people don't have any particular scenes they want to run, let's just go ahead and proceed to the transporter room. So... we've got Bryce there. We've got Rick Tier. We'll have Eli. We'll have Kara, Chorog, Grimnir, Daniel, who's just a second. Daniel, and anyone else I may have missed. I got it. Again, still futzing around with settings. So again, if anyone has anything they want to do...
Have we established if Mary knows what's going on yet?
No!
Should we leave her in the dark, or should we have her find out?
That is entirely up to you.
Because I feel like if she were to find out, she's going whether she's allowed to or not.
I mean,
Nobody tell her.
Yeah, it'd be funny if she finds out after the fact.
You know what? I like that idea. Let's roll with that.
Okay. So... Anyway, the main away, basically everyone is down at the transporter room, plus Bryce and Setsa. Graves is going to be staying back capiting the ship. And you also have Dr. Tamarin with you, who is the scientist who you discovered on the warp flight last mission. He's looking a little bit nervous, but at the same time looking like, okay, we can probably do this. Yeah, he's looking like he's trying to psych himself up.
Kara just looks over at him. You know, you don't have to come along.
Well, I do know the facility, and, well, there's the matter of security codes and controls, and I mean, the doors can be a little bit tricky. You gotta twist the handle just so to get some of them to open. So I figured, best effects, and to make sure that your people are unharmed to do this, I should persevere.
Kara's busy checking her phaser rifle. So what you're saying is that you're there for damage control to keep us from breaking everything.
More to the point of knowing where to go.
Roger that.
Setsa is equipping herself with 2 pistols and a rather large amount of body armor. She kind of looks like not quite a snowman, but I mean, she's definitely going for the heavier side.
Kara raises an eyebrow at her. So are you going to be the point woman, or?
I'm probably not going to be able to move too fast, but at the same time, if someone attacks me, they're not going to do anything. Like, I've got 3 shield generators on this.
Right, so I'm just going to take cover and snipe from behind Setsa.
Yeah.
Eli enters with the rifle that he bought at that weapon/pet shop.
Has that rifle. Grimnir,
Yep.
What are you bringing?
So when Grimnir enters the transporter room, he is not in his usual, civilian bartender attire. Nor is he in his Starfleet security uniform. He is wearing what I think you've only ever seen him wear once, when we did that holodeck episode. He is wearing his original battle armor from his homeworld that he doesn't talk about very much. It is quilted padded leather with a blue cloth shawl draped over it, with various intriguing metal plates patterned particularly over it. And he has a whole slew of weapons strapped to his body, including a large metal and wooden shield with a striking bear sigil on it. And he walks in, says, "Good, everyone's ready." And he grabs his helmet, which is this big, old Nordic-looking metal helmet with a bear head on it, and he puts it on, straps it on. He grabs his sword, he grabs his shield, and he says, "Let me know when we're ready."
Okay, so here's what's going on. I'm going to be behind both Grimnir and Setsa sniping.
Hey, now don't hog. I need a shield too.
All right, fine. You take Grimnir.
Victier arrives. He's got a couple of different pads and the standard Starfleet issued rifle, or Type 2. And one of the pads is actually sort of specifically isolated from the rest of the Reliant system, so it's not. It's sort of like its own individual device that still can try and connect to, but doesn't have the Starfleet standard stuff in it, so it doesn't, just automatically connect it. You sort of have to configure it to specifically connect. But otherwise, he's there, he's got his stuff, and he's just sort of standing around.
Chorog walks in. He's got his disruptor rifle slung around his shoulder. He's got 2 disruptor pistols. He's got his battle tegalar, and he's got a couple of grenades that he's adjusting on a bandolier slung across his shoulder.
D.B. Wells.
Daniel enters the room once again in full cosmonaut gear, but this time with the addition of a bunch of different tools strapped to the outside of the suit. A lot of them just kind of basic tools, but meant to be worked with, meant to be used with environment suit gloves. So maybe they're a bit bigger than usual. Different kind of drills. There's a crowbar on his back for some reason.
I understood that reference.
Kara just squints at him for a minute and says, "Pull that visor up. How do I know you're not making faces at me under there?"
Daniel lifts up his visor with his tongue sticking out.
Well, at least now I know.
I thought ignorance was bliss.
Well, it would be, but you just ruined it by telling us now, didn't you?
So, does anyone else want a power drill, or...
Kara holds up her rifle. This is the only multi-tool I need.
Same, Eli says, holding up his rifle.
Rick here sort
I've
of
got my
opens up his
I've got
engineering
my-
kit as well.
I've got my EMP grenades. I'm good.
Kara moves up to stand on the pad. It opens doors, it handles hostiles, it, overloads computer controls.
Well,
And if you're all worried about me not being able to function under fire again, this time I'm expecting it, okay? I'll only shake a little bit.
You want a pistol?
I've never shot a gun.
It's more a phaser, but yeah, you'll be...
You ever used a laser pointer?
Yeah.
Okay,
Think about that, but could just turn someone to ash.
Yeah, like that, but deadly.
Grimnir says, "Hold on. I think I've got a better idea." And he reaches into his mass smorgasbord of weapons and he starts rifling around. He says, here it is. And he pulls out a wooden sword and he hands it to DB. What's your character's name again? I'm sorry.
Daniel.
Daniel. He hands it to Daniel and says, "Be careful with that thing. It's deadlier than it looks."
I got 50 slips on Daniel making a kill with the wooden sword.
Daniel just kind of holds it, looks at it for a second, and says, "Okay," before strapping it to his tool belt.
It feels very warm to the touch. Like when you hold a lighter to something for a while and it's got that singy kind of feel. It's got that.
Does Daniel feel that through his suit's gloves?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Oh no.
Daniel remembers that oddity, but not real. But he still just kind of thinks it's weird that he was given just a warm toy sword.
And Grimnir points at him and says, "Remember, that is very, very dangerous. But you strike true, and it will never fail you."
Daniel just kind of gives a thumbs up and closes his visor.
Bryce heads over to the transporter pad, just taking sort of the prime sort of position, like front and center on it, while Setsa just kind of waddles her way to the back in her heavy armor.
All aboard. Next stop. I don't know. We'll find out when we get there. I've never been there.
Then, let's see.
Has anyone seen John? He seemed pretty disappointed he wasn't coming along.
I'm sure he'll show up if he feels like it. It's not like they can really stop him.
Setsa raises a hand with a clunk.
Yes, Setsa?
Well, Marcus said that John was going to be held in reserve just in case. If there are other people around, they might mistake John for, kind of like a more creepy alien rather than a nice and lovely one. I mean, sometimes it takes a minute to get used to John.
Kara turns around and looks back at Setsa covered in battle armor. Right. We don't want to appear threatening now, do we?
I got a smiley face on this. He points to the chest plate.
Oh, I thought, okay, yeah, let's go.
With that, the transporter officer goes ahead and gives you all a thumbs up before you beam down towards the planet. Yeah. So you find yourselves in a really kind of like, well, you're kind of expecting something that looked more like, say, an old style Earth missile bunker, but I mean, it's pretty ornate considering. I mean, there's some pretty spectacular stone pillars with all sorts of decorations. So it appears that even though this is a slightly underfunded research project, that they do still put the effort into interior decor design and just making sure that the space is robust as possible. Floors themselves are a mixture of, well, some metal plating, but you've also got a little bit of stonework kind of running through the center of the pathway. Kind of just there, the most they could do while trying to be as economical as possible. Around you, though, you kind of hear in the distance some clanking, but nothing sort of is immediately impending. The beam in sight was a little bit out of the way and sort of a storage facility that doesn't appear to have had much robotic traffic recently.
Kara takes up a position behind one of the pillars, watching the door.
Are there any loose objects around that are like that anyone could like pick up?
Insight engineering.
Well, he's getting that. Eli's giving orders to secure the transporter site, and if Bryce brought him, let's just put up some transporter enhancers just in case. Pattern enhancers. That's what I was thinking of.
Rick, you and Bryce will go ahead and set up those pattern enhancers. So, Rick, control engineering roll.
Alrighty.
Grimnir and Shora ought to secure the transport site.
Well, I mean, Kara's doing that too.
Sorry,
She's keeping an eye on the door to make sure nothing comes in. Or if it does, it's going to get shot immediately.
Yeah, so, like, you can basically do the standard, like, point, shoot, or point gun at place, wait for thing to potentially jump out. Do you do anything like a scan, set up, turrets / drones, because those are engineering things / tactically things?
Jorog has drones. He has lots of toys.
So you want to try to deploy the toys?
Yes.
Okay. So for that'll be a security control.
Okay, after setting up the pattern enhancers, Rick T will start scanning for any power source.
All right, so that will be a insight engineering. Bryce has also helped you as well. So you have been able to set up very effective pattern enhancers that should also have a pretty wide range as well. So there shouldn't be any issue with trying to arrange a transport out of this facility.
All right.
Trog opens one of the secure cases he brought with him and successfully deploys 2 security drones.
So that will be, your... did you roll for that one yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've deployed your 2 little security drones. Are you going to have them launch your sort of, like, the beam in point to defend the pattern enhancers, or are you going to have them follow you?
One's going to stay behind to guard the beam inside. The other's going to follow as a point defense.
All right. And then, Rick, was that one success you were rolling for?
One success for the scanning.
Okay, yeah. Between the maps you have from the between the maps that you've got from the from Dr. Tamara and orbital scans, and what you've just been able to pinpoint, you've confirmed, well, the computer core that is your target is active in a particular direction away from you. So you basically have confirmed what you guys have already sort of got for intel coming in here.
Okay. Haven't been able to identify any individual units, but the computer core is chewing up enough power so we can definitely know that it's that direction. Any points?
Kara goes over and checks if the door is locked.
The door is not locked. However, Dr. Tamar wasn't kidding about these door handles being a little bit complicated. There's like a rotating bit, and then there's like a latching bit, and then there's a switch bit. So you could, the door is probably not locked. It's just figuring out how to open the door. That's going to be another thing.
Well, since nobody's shooting us right now, she motions the doctor to open the door and watches carefully what he's doing.
So the doctor rotates the bit while holding the latch just so with the flippy switch in the upright position, and that seems to do it. With the latch itself not actually opening the door, it's the rotating bit that opens the door.
Right on. Kara pokes her head out in the hallway and sweeps her rifle back and forth.
You hear a little bit more clanging. It's definitely a bit more audible now, but it's still a little bit distant. So not this hallway, but probably an adjoining hallway has robots.
Also, what did DB find when he did his search?
DB found a somewhat basically a box of standard tools, so wrenches or their equivalent of wrenches, screwdrivers, stuff like that. Nothing spectacular, just a workman's box of tools.
Kara looks back at the tools. Hey, that's fucking carite.
I don't know what that is, Daniel says, as he takes whatever tools look like would be. Basically, he looks for tools that are like their version of a screwdriver. If it's like looks like our version of a screwdriver wouldn't work with the screws that their screwdriver is meant for, he takes them so he has compatible tools.
Kara
Cool.
gestures to the tools. See that bronze goldish metal? That's carite. It doesn't spark, so it's good in a lot of engineering situations. It's heavier than steel, but not quite as hard.
Rick here will just take a couple of samples of other ones just to supplement his own, because it's better to have, dedicated tools with the right stuff instead of trying to make ones fit if they're not meant to.
Rightio. So you've got those tools and you've got a hallway. You've got a left and a right. Left would be a more direct way to the power source, but on the right, you might be able to loop around. So it might be a less or a more stealthy way to go, albeit longer.
Well, Kara clearly votes for the left.
Eli is in command of the away team.
That's
Well,
why she hasn't run yet.
I'm trusting Kara's judgment for now.
Setsa starts waddling towards the left.
All right, Chorog, Grimnir, you ready to bust some heads?
Grimnir's got his sword and board in hand and says, "Always."
Cool, because we're taking the direct path. And she starts going down the left hallway.
Trog pulls his new disruptor pistol, charges it, and I'm ready to kick some ass. Let's do this.
Before we go, sorry.
All right.
Oh,
Oh, they were going.
Daniel kind of jogs after them. Before we go in guns blazing, can I try something?
What do you want to try?
Well, with my visor down, you can't see my face. So I was thinking, what if I try and sell myself to them as a maintenance droid that's here for a routine maintenance check if we come across any of them?
This is unlikely to work, but will cause a lot of chaos whether it does or doesn't. I'm all for it.
It's very risky and you might get hurt.
Rick here will use his isolated data pad to try and scan for any wireless data signals in the area.
Sure, I can also send in my little drone buddy here to start scout the area and see if anybody's coming.
So the obvious question is, how recognizable is this to Grimnir?
I mean, you basically notice that the intricate carvings for like the pillars and stuff, they absolutely look Dwemer.
I mean, there's pipes everywhere. There's those fucking light bulbs they always have.
So it's it's a Dwemer ruin.
It looks like a Cold War era Dwemer ruin.
Okay, so it is slightly different. Like it is
Yeah.
slightly more modernized.
Yeah, you can basically tell that, it makes sense that these people built a warp-capable ship. There are a few display screens, for example. They're not on right now, but there is advanced technology here. It's just there's also a little bit of that style that Grimnir would recognize.
Okay. He's looking for the openings that the Dwemer automatons, the spiders come out of, and the spheres.
They're fortunately not those.
Okay.
Not yet.
Grimnir has a slight look of relief on his face, but only slight.
So, all right. So a bunch of plans were proposed. So, Rick, you are just going to see if you can access any wireless systems. I will just say, for the sake of expedience, you got them, but they're just completely haywire right now. Like, it's just complete, digital garbage being spewed out on the local wireless network.
Okay, well, there is a wireless network that they could be communicating on, but it just seems sort of overloaded as a mess. So it doesn't seem like they're actually going to be able to communicate. So maybe your plan could work.
Bryce, tilts his head and looks over. Just because you don't think it's communication doesn't mean they're not using it for that. Be careful.
Could we set up some kind of proximity wireless connection where if we get close enough, I can talk through the mic in my suit, make them think I'm just kind of broadcasting through the connection?
I could try to set up something like that, but I don't want to set off any alarms.
Well, given what Rick Tier just said about the network, Bryce says, it's unlikely that you know the communications protocol they're using, if they're using one.
Yeah, there's no guarantee I can make any kind of sense of whatever they're using.
So you guys have the other two plans. So Charlotte can send his recon drone ahead, or you can try to pass Daniel off as a robot. I will say that if you have a small flying drone move through the facility, that would the robots are not likely to pass that up. They'll probably view that as a security intrusion from an unknown UAV. As a robot, though, you do have a little bit more of a shot with Daniel, but they're mutually exclusive paths. If you try to use one, you'll basically alert the other if it fails.
I mean, we're practically lower decks anyway, so I vote for sending Daniel out in spacesuit.
What if you have the drone perch on my head to make me look like more of a robot?
You can try that.
Drone shoulder cannon.
Okay, so basically, that would allow Chorog to assist in Daniel trying to pass off as a robot.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can take and rig my little drone here to either perch on your shoulder or perch on top of your helmet. That'll give you even more look like a drone. And my little buddy here is armed just in case you run into problems.
Yeah, it's all coming together. Let's get stupid.
Kara just claps her hands. I love this plan. I'm excited to be part of it.
All right, let me see your helmet so I can make the modifications.
All right, so that's going to be an engineering control role for Chorog for the modifications.
Daniel will assist, and he does have a focus in integrating technology.
All right, so you get to roll 1 dice, and that will also be the same roll. So your target range is going to be, or your target range is going to be what it is, and then your critical range is going to be amplified by your relevance attribute.
Okay, so what was the attribute and discipline?
That was an engineering insight roll. 2 successes for Chorog. And let's see. Let me see.
A crit.
2 successes for DB.
2 successes for DB. You have really attached that drone well, and you've connected it to DB or Daniel. You've connected it to his suit system, so the drone is directly relaying its sensor information into DB, and you have thus vastly improved his own suit's recon capabilities with the drone.
I've also taken and wired in your helmet's microphone and comm system to the drone, so you will be speaking through the drone's vocoder.
Nice.
All right,
and it is armed with a small pulse disruptor cannon. And I've wired it into your glove. All I gotta do is arc your finger just a little bit, and that'll trigger it.
That sounds a little dangerous.
Just be careful with it.
I mean, I'm gonna need to use my fingers.
all right.
I can fix
So
that.
on the left path, there's now a robot because you guys have taken a while on this. There's a robot coming down the left now. You see the sort of the glow against the wall. It's just about to turn the corner.
Grimnir positions himself around the corner so that when the robot comes around the corner, Grimnir can surprise attack it.
But are you going to let Daniel try to basically use subterfuge first?
Yeah, hold on, Grimnir. Don't attack it. Let's give Daniel a field test. Daniel, you're up. Fool that thing.
Grimnir doesn't say anything. He just kind of idly, casually steps around the corner and just kind of stands there, sword at the ready.
All right, Daniel, you're up. Fool that thing.
Daniel gives a thumbs up, and tries to get into the mindset of a robot.
Meanwhile, Chorog ducks behind a crate and pulls his disruptor pistol out just in case.
Rick T follows
Right,
along
so-
with that as well.
Daniel, for trying to get in the mindset of a robot, I'm going to have you do a presence. Let's see. Let's have you do a presence command roll, and I'll spend 4 threat.
2 dump stats combined. Excellent.
Beautiful.
No success is 1 complication, so you are at 1950s beep boop robot era. I'm wearing a box with tinfoil on. That is your level of acting here.
Daniel decides to begin approaching the also approaching robot with very stiff-looking limbs.
So the robot itself is quite a bit more fluid coming around the corner. It's not like the lower half has four insectoid type legs with this brushed carite, sort of bronzy metallic finish with a little bit of black mixed in there as well. The upper body, though, is quite a bit more humanoid with some large pauldrons, but sort of spindly, not too imposing looking metal arms, and then a slightly ornate head with a large glowing blue light at its center. It comes around the corner and just sort of looks slightly down. It's just a little bit taller than Daniel is, so it just sort of looks down at him. So at this point, you need to roll another command presence, and I will also spend 4th threat.
Any chance that a focus in robotics could help?
Yes, that would help.
Sorry, I didn't think to try and apply that for the first roll.
It wouldn't have helped, but it might for the second roll.
Okay, and that increases that having a focus applied. That just increases the critical range by what again? I'm sorry.
It turns it into the same thing as your skill.
Yeah, your discipline or your discipline. So if your command is say 1 or 2, if your command is say 2, your critical range is 2. So I don't think you've got a 5 in that though.
Yeah, no, I have a 1 in command, so
it doesn't actually help.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, having the focus doesn't even help.
Sorry, I'm still not. I haven't gotten a chance to really apply focus as much, so I'm still not used to those rules.
Yeah, no worries. So the robot comes around the corner, looks down, and just sort of is spending a moment processing what is before it. This strange, slightly robotic entity. But despite the modifications to the suit, despite the brilliant effort put in earlier just to attach the drone to the robot, does flash red. Guy.
Daniel,
and it says,
oh, sorry.
And it says, please present credentials.
Grimnir shouts, "I've got him right here!" And it flashes with his sword.
All right, you've got a fitness security roll.
Yeah,
I thought it's daring security to attack like that.
I was going to try and convince them.
Well, I'm looking at this as basically he's just got to power through and try to dismember a robotic creature by force with a sword. So in my mind here,
it's Grimnir. It's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
Well,
okay, let's put it this
how
way.
to do the roll.
You can do like slash d20. Then you can sort of bring in, like, at the very least, just roll your target, and then we can just work out everything else. Also slash R.
So you said it'd be, what'd you say again?
Fitness security.
It's security, unless you
want to,
like,
be pretty high for Grimnir, because remember, we still haven't come up with an actual character sheet for him.
Okay, yeah, your target range is 16, focus applies, so let's go with a target range of 16, crit range of 5.
Oh my god.
Uh-oh.
You are very good. Oh no.
No. No.
Uh-oh.
Skill does not beat dice.
No success, 1 complication, so,
Wait, what?
You slip on a puddle of oil that's sort of like leaking there, and just sail straight on past the robot, and then just crash into the opposite wall.
Somehow, despite all of this, Kara is managing not to laugh.
Eli's gonna poke out from the corner and do a shoot with his new rifle. If I can find my fucking sheet. Okay, here we go.
If the robot turns to look at Grimnir sliding past, Daniel would also like to shout "intruder" in his best impression of a robot before trying to access like some kind of panel on the robot while it's looking away.
Well, as it turns around, that panel just gets shot out by Eli, and the robot falls dead.
Oh, that was easy.
I found its off switch.
Kara steps around the corner. You alright there, big guy?
Grimnir gets up. I'm already imagining it. It's like, provide your credentials. And Grimnir says, "I've got him right here." Oh shit! He gets up, brushes himself off. I see my distraction worked. Excellent. Good for following the plan.
Glad you helped set it up, bud.
That's
I
a good.
mean, that was a great distraction. I really can't argue the point.
That robot was truly terrified.
Tetsuo waddles over and gives Grimnir a high five.
Yeah! He high fives her really hard, overcompensating. Her hand probably stings.
Oh no, she just topples backwards like a turtle.
So, Daniel, you want to keep trying that shtick, or should we,
I mean, hey, it almost worked.
Dr. Chwarin says, I do not believe it would be wise. At this point, there is likely a security alert.
Cool. So let's just run and gun. And Kara starts dashing down the hallway.
Okay,
Grimnir grins, chasing down, sword and board ready.
all right, you're dashing down the hallway, so let's go with an insight security.
Eli is being much more slow, methodical, tactical about it.
Daniel tries to. Actually, Daniel has no idea where the central processor on the robot is, so he does not try to take the head like I was going to.
Kara gets 2 successes, Charog gets a success, Grumpy Old Nord gets 2 successes, which is Grimnir, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I was kind of
Insight.
distracted. I thought only one person was rolling for something.
Nope, whole group.
I thought this was because they were running ahead. Eli is not running.
Well,
Okay.
Eli also got 2 successes for...
Well, this is like
For shooting.
Right, sorry. Okay, it's got a... Never mind.
Okay,
So
so
it's insight security?
insight
Strong.
security, but yours is a slightly different context. Let's say if you're sneaking, you're not quite looking out for the same thing as the people who are further ahead.
Alright, well, dump stat time, let's go.
Chorog lands a lucky shot with one of his EMP grenades and knocks out 4 robots in one shot.
No, like okay, you guys haven't found any more robots yet. You're getting ahead of getting ahead of yourself there. So yeah, you just got 1 success on the insight. Yeah, you try the D20, the /D20. Sometimes I've noticed the /R functions being getting a bunch of errors recently, or just Gelbot's getting a little wonky. So okay, 3 successes. So for DB, and then Rick's got 2, and then Nick got 1. Okay, so for the people running ahead, you definitely know, like you definitely pick up on the fact that there's another robot upcoming, and it sounds heavy. Or
Grimnir says, is it Centurion time?
Oh, hold on. Let me try one of my grenades, see if I can knock it out.
I thought it was pronounced Kinturian.
Tomato.
One thing for Nick though, you look down on like a side passage, and you see that there's another robot that's been destroyed.
Fascinating.
Since he's behind and everyone else is going forward,
I think Setsa's with me.
yeah, Sets is going to be with you. So do you want to explore the side passage?
Setsa, check this out.
So looks over and says, yeah, I don't think we did that.
Exactly.
Go poke?
Yeah, you're with me for obvious reasons.
Hey, Cyber Turtle away! And she just starts like lumbering forward in her armor.
Also, have you noticed when I shot this, the projectile was really weird.
I mean, yeah, it's different. I mean, it's not a standard Starfleet rifle, so...
No, that's... Hold on a second. He tries to find it on the rifle. He shows her a Delta.
Okie dokie.
I don't get it. I've never seen a schematic of this thing in my life.
Well, I mean, I've had a basic course in firearms, so I'm probably not the one to ask about this.
Fair point.
Okay. Go find more robots?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yay! And Setsa leads the way down the other hallway, where the others are... yeah, you've got a big robot ahead. So, Chorog, you want to throw your boomy sticks?
Yeah, I want to throw one of my boomsticks.
Yeah. Okay, so for you, you can try being a little bit more sneaky about it, like throwing it like around the corner in sort of like almost not quite a trick shot, but using a little bit more finesse to not expose yourself. Or you can basically just stand in the hallway and just lunge it. So either daring security throw or fitness security.
I'll try lobbing it around a corner because I do have a small arms focus, and I think that would work for a grenade.
Yeah, I think so as well. Like, just that little precision combat. So yeah, the focus I would say would apply.
Okay, so daring security. How would I do this?
Yeah, you don't necessarily need to worry about typing in the crit, because we can just read that off.
Okay.
1 success. So you're able to lob it, and you hear it go off, and you still hear the thumping coming towards you.
Well, it's worth a shot. Maybe we ought to just hardway this thing.
Are we like around the corner from it?
Yeah, so you're kind of just around the corner from it. So you kind of, from the schematics that Tamarin has provided there's kind of like a larger room up ahead, kind of like a sort of a larger chamber that leads into a bunch of different smaller research offices. But the chamber itself is large and is apparently large enough for a larger type of robot to be in there and operational. So yeah, you've all caught up now, with the exception of the people who went to that area.
Daniel peeks around the corner to get a good look at this thing.
So the thing itself is like the last one, but larger and more robust. It looks quite a little bit more spikier. It's got 6 legs versus the last one's 2, and it's got 2 eyes, and yeah, just quite a bit more going on with this one. Tubules, things coming out of the back. It spots. Actually, let me roll for this one.
Is there any way we can try to scan this thing to find a weakness?
It basically is already saying, intruders detected, opening fire, and it just starts blasting like everywhere in front of it, like creating a bit of a smoke screen, so this thing can't see anything right now. But it is firing some notable, let's say, some notable low yield but still dangerous particle weapons.
We're going to need a distraction here. I can send in my drone to try to distract it.
At the word distraction, Kara just looks at Grimnir.
Why? That was part of the plan. I didn't plan for this. Well, I did, but not with a distraction. Give me a second.
Daniel unsheaths his crowbar and prepares to round the corner.
Kara's just gonna go stand behind the smoke screen and wait for it to clear, aiming down at where she figures the robot's gonna be when it clears.
Trog tucks his pistol back in his belt and pulls out his rifle. This is going to require a heavier shot.
Grimnir takes a deep breath and goes running toward it, shouting, "Wodna Kest!" and does the whirlwind sprint shout right under it.
So with that, Grimnir, you are now kind of underneath this robot. It's about twice your height in total, so you're basically at its crotch.
I'm going to swipe at the joint of one of its legs in its crotch.
All right, so that is going to be a daring security roll. So that would be for Grimnir. Let's just say if Grimnir is going to be stabbing, it's 16-5. This is what he do.
What would I need to roll to try to get Trog to get a successful headshot with his rifle?
That's going to be control security once the smoke clears, and it hasn't quite yet. It's starting to, especially with the whirlwind dash.
Tonight is the night of 20s.
He forgot the focus, so that would actually be 2 successes, 1 complication.
Oh, 2 successes. You basically, you just sort of stab into, you try to cleave your way into the through the leg, but you kind of hit the torso. Basically, you get your sword stuck in the robot's crotch.
Hey, give me that back! That's mine, damn it!
It's walking forward. It doesn't notice you. It's still just spraying out sort of low yield, kind of Enterprise era plasma bolts. And so as all this is happening, the smoke is cleared, so people who want to take a shot can now take shots.
Daring security? Or...
Yeah. Control security for ranged weapons. Unless you want to do a trick shot, which would be daring. 2 successes from Torok.
Trog lines up the sight of his sniper rifle and drills it right in the head.
Kara also gets 2 successes because she's augmented on control.
Yeah. So between you two, you do you hit it in a couple dead center of the chest and also the head almost simultaneously. The thing rears back, but it's not out yet.
While it's staggered, Daniel charges in with the crowbar and tries to jam it into any panel he can reach with it to pry it open.
All right, fitness, security, and complication range of 18.
Let's see if we can try to get this thing on its back. If it's on its back, it can't move forward.
Would a focus apply at all with the robotics and such?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
What was your attribute for security?
Security is 2, so one of them is a crit.
So you 3 crits. So you leverage this thing. Where were you trying to strike?
He's trying to
I'm
open a
trying to
panel.
pry open some important looking panel that I can reach with the
So
crowbar.
you manage to you kind of stagger and sort of stumble your way underneath the robot and onto its backside, and you sort of in one fluid gesture pop open the panel for its power system. Glowing crystal-like object.
Daniel begins tinkering.
In context, well, Tinker, you've got this holder and this crystal thing.
Aggressive tinkering with crowbar.
Take
Okay,
out
no-
the crystal! Oh, Grimnir says that if he sees what's going on.
Probably. Or you wouldn't be able to actually see what the hatch is on the back, and you're sort of like trying to work at the front.
Yeah, that's why I was like, wait a minute, Grimnir probably
Oh.
can't see what's going on.
Okay,
Okay.
It's an educated guess.
Stick your hand in there and assert yourself.
Okay. In that case, Daniel takes one of his new tools and just instead of just ripping the crystal out, tries to like actually detach it properly.
You notice there's like 5 screws holding this thing in.
Just rip it out.
Are any of the tools I grabbed power drills
No.
or power screwdrivers?
You've just got like standard, Ace Hardware, or actually, like Walmart brand, just solid tools.
Okay.
Well, you have a wooden sword that does, like, what, 1.5 billion damage?
You've also got
Daniel
a
doesn't know
crowbar.
that. He's applying science.
Okay, so do you want to try following the instruction manual on this?
I was about to say, science time is over, violence time is now.
I just jam your crowbar in there and wiggle it around. It'll short something out.
Violence is applied science. Think of it that way.
Okay. So
You know
Daniel,
what? I think I do want to try and actually just properly remove this thing.
Okay, so you're going to be 3 turns doing this.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I've set this up to be a major operation to try doing this the serious way.
Okay, never mind then.
That's why he was saying it was held in there with screws, and you don't have any power tools. And
Okay. I mean, could I? Does it? At a glance, does it look like I could just like undo 1 or 2 screws and then yank it out to make it
I
easier?
mean, this thing is moving forward and firing particle cannons. Daniel is a scientist and probably isn't as battle hardened to basically to walk behind or basically latch onto a walking tank and very carefully remove some some tiny screws.
Okay, fine. Danny's okay. Sorry. One must always at least entertain the idea of shenanigans. But yeah, Daniel just kind of tries to get a good grip on it and jolt it out of place, possibly removing it.
You basically just throw you put the end of the curvy end of the crowbar in there and just try to yank it out. And for that, fitness security complication 17 or complication range of 17.
I'm assuming the focus still applies.
Yes, in robotics that would apply. All right, so you got 1 success. You sort of you yank. It sort of comes loose. The robot sort of droops for a moment, but then a backup kicks in, like a backup power battery. Not enough to keep it running long term, but the thing is basically moving forward with less power. It's turned off the particle cannon. The particle cannon's barrage and just basically sweeps in front of it. So Grimnir, this thing is now sort of starting to attack the in front of it, just kind of wildly flailing its arms. So you have an opportunity here to pull out your sword.
Rick will try and before that just try and do a quick scan, see if there's a way he can impact or hinder the senses of the robot.
All right, so that will be an insight engineering roll.
Oh yeah.
3 successes. Yeah,
That's
so
a
basically,
success.
so you work out a principle for how to basically spoof its sensors, but it's probably not going to do a whole lot of good now because it's just furiously attacking wildly in front of it. So it won't help with this bot, but it might help you with upcoming bots.
Okay.
Grimnir, your time. Fitness, security.
2 successes. About goddamn time. Well, actually, wouldn't it be 3 successes with the focus?
Not unless you have a 9 skill.
Ah.
Yeah, we can't quite ring that. So yeah, 2 successes. That's enough to pull out your sword and get in a good swing. So I will let you do a daring security roll. You've got your sword free, and you can basically just bring it back down. So a daring security roll.
Ooh.
Which,
That's a good roll.
So 3 successes. You basically swing and lop off the thing's head and arm, and it just sort of starts falling down.
Grimnir rides it down like, I haven't done this in years!
Daniel, you're kind of yanked along by the crowbar as it sort of falls forward.
Does this sudden jolt cause the crystal to be pried the rest of the way out?
Sure, you got a crystal now.
Doo-doo-doo-doo.
You've got one
Daniel
root.
falls to the floor with the crystal clattering to the floor next to him.
1 empty petty soul gem added to your inventory.
Kara watches from her position where she was lining up another shot and just goes, fun times.
So with that robot falling, Eli and Setsa hear the sort of the commotion, and Setsa just says, they're probably having fun.
Tons of fun.
This is followed very immediately afterwards by the sound of Kara's echoing "woo" down the hallway.
Nick, you've got a let's go with an insight engineering roll.
Oh no. Is what I would be saying if I didn't have something for this. It's time to use my talent. I'm a doctor, not an engineer. That's let me use medicine instead of engineering.
Yeah.
So you said insight?
Yeah.
And what am I looking for here? Just want to see if a focus applies.
You're basically surveying the situation in front of you. You're walking down a dusty hallway, and you're seeing for any points of engineer or interest with the structure itself. Like, are there any additional paths or?
I have xenoanthropology. Does that help? I know that's pushing it.
I'm thinking here. No, I'd say that wouldn't help here. You're not trying to sort of work through an alien layout. It might, but I think in this particular case it wouldn't.
Again, I feel like I was stretching it anyway, but let's go.
1 success. All right. So as you sort of,
I mean, says she could assist. She's with me.
yeah, I was gonna have her fail at something though.
Oh no.
So basically, you see, there's some damage. There's some damage ahead. So it looks like something got blasted out, but there's a engineering hatch that leads down. That's open. You notice this.
We're gonna have to climb down, aren't we?
It's not. Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's get this over with.
Me first or you first?
You first, because if you fall while I'm still going down, that's not going to be good for either of us.
Okie dokie. So Setsa begins climbing down the ladder, and you hear a metal twang. And then
Okay,
Setsa
yeah,
says,
see this.
And Setsa says, no, bad ladder. And you just see the ladder just sort of tilt back.
I called it.
And then there's just a heavy clunk, and Setsa just calls out, I'm okay, I broke my fall.
I could hear that from here, yeah.
So, the ladder's busted. I could try holding it, though.
I'll just try to shimmy my way down.
Okay, I'm gonna lay here for a sec.
You might want to move slightly out of the way in case I fall. I don't need you to break mine.
Oh, I fell back, the ladder tilted back, so I'm a little bit away from the hole.
Well, let's hope that I don't rebound off it in a weird way and end up landing on you anyway.
I'm probably softer than the floor, but go for it.
All right, go. It's going down time.
Going
down the hole. What? No, God.
Okay. So, this is just going to be fitness security.
Fitness, security, 12. Oh boy.
2 successes. You basically jump
Parkour down.
Yeah, you just parkour.
I'm Assassin's Creeding it.
Yeah, so you kind of just kick off a wall and just sort of slow your fall a little bit, grab onto a little bit of a handhold, and yeah, you're down.
Excuse me.
I've managed to go down.
That's standing out, slowly getting to her feet in her armor. It's like, yay! So keep going.
Yeah, I'd probably be smart too.
So as they keep going, there's another 2 robots that have been blasted.
Well, I wasn't expecting this.
Setsa will scan. As she does so, she falls down another hole.
You okay? Again?
She says, "There's water down here.
Is it clean water?
I hope so. I can't really see.
Can you smell it?
It just smells rusty. I'll keep going here. You keep going up ahead. We'll hopefully meet up soon.
All right.
If it looks like I'm stuck, yeah, I'll just beam. Just beam. Oh, wet.
You'll beam if there's no interference, but yeah.
They've got the pattern enhancer, so beaming isn't a problem here.
Waitley back on the Reliant, mentally keeping tabs on everything going on, just thinks to himself, it's a good thing she's not wearing a skirt this time.
She's got the power armor, so don't. So
such a thing with power armor with a skirt, it would be something Setsa would wear.
Next time, when she's got a little bit more time to prepare. So anyway, Eli is now going down the hallway by himself. There's another robot. And at this point, let's go ahead and cut back to the main group. So you've just defeated this large robot. Actually, before we do this though, do we want to take a 5-10 minute break?
Yes.
Okay. By the looks of it, Tamaran says, the AI control center is just beyond this door. Let me insert my credentials so maybe it'll open. It's not opening.
I could try to hack it. I'm good at that.
Well, yeah, be my guest, but I don't think there's much power coming into this console.
Daniel picks up the crystal that he removed from the robot and asks, "Well, would this be enough?"
Let me see that thing.
You might be able to wire it in, maybe?
We could just have Bryce force it open.
Bryce nods.
Daniel shrugs and turns back to the robot, seeing if he can do anything with it, with the tools he has.
I mean, you do also have heavy weaponry, too, to, shoot through the door.
So we can demolish the door, we can try and power through the console and open the door, we can try and do a more mechanical unlock process, and be able to try and do a more manual process. So we definitely have the firepower to try. Although perhaps we should, we could try and scan this door to get a more detailed understanding of its operation.
Well, I can either hack it or I can crack it. Your call.
I vote for Grimnir and Bryce on the crowbar.
Grimnir shrugs and says, "Sure, why not?"
Yeah,
right. In the absence of Eli, Bryce has kind of taken slight command of the away team and just sort of nods and says, "Right, well, try to force the door open at first, and if that doesn't work, we'll resort to other means." So he and Grimnir will try to force it open. It's just going to be a 16 roll for Grimnir and for Bryce.
Do you guys want the crowbar, or are you just doing?
They're just metaphorically. Okay. So 3 successes. So they're able to sort of force it open a bit. So they can kind of just yank it open, but something's sort of jamming it at this point, like a actual lock. So they can kind of see inside the next room ahead a little bit. Just basically you've got enough to you can't walk through the gap, but you can kind of see through the gap.
I could take a jab one of my demo charges in there and blow it all the way open.
I think we should try to do something that leaves what's on the other side of the door intact. Karasai is looking at it. I was really hoping it would be open wide enough for at least one of us to get through.
Wait, maybe if I take my drone and turn it sideways, I can pop it through there. It's worth a shot.
I mean, at this point, you could also see sort of like these steel beams that are probably part of the locking mechanism, that are just sort of like there's a couple of
Well, fuck that, I'll just shoot those.
yeah. So you can just basically try to cut your way or phaser your way through those.
I got some cutting torches too if you need them.
All right. Rick will join in on that endeavor.
All right.
Trog hands Rick here one of his cutting tools.
So between Chorog, Kara, and Rick, you guys are going to roll each roll engineering.
I was shooting, so I was doing security, but I've already tried 3 times with Gel, and she's not rolling anything for me.
Okay. Let me give it a shot. The R is working right now.
What am I rolling?
Engineering control or security control if you're trying to do the shooty.
Okay, Kara gets a success.
3 successes for Chorog, and for Rick, 2 successes. You are able to cut through those beams, and the doors slide the rest of the way open with Grimnir and Grimnir and Bryce's physical efforts. So the doors are open, and ahead of you see a large computer control core with a very large robot standing in front of it.
Kara just shoots the robot with the rifle immediately.
Right. Before she gets off a shot, Grimnir says, "Hi, we're here to talk to you about your extended warranty."
Trog just takes 2 grenades and just chucks it right at it.
So,
Okay.
Security control, or am I not going to make the shot? Or I ask the DM.
Okay, hold on. Nick was messaging me something. Okay, repeat the question.
I was just going to shoot the thing. Do you want me to just go ahead and roll security?
Yeah, just basically make a roll for your various attacks.
So would that be control security for me as well?
Yeah.
1 success for me, 2 for Chorog.
All right, so you basically through your various efforts, you blow off one of its major arms. So this is it has a very large head with a bunch of just random stuff. I mean, it's hard to tell if it's like sensor equipment or computational devices, point security measures, guns. It's just hard to tell. It has a very complex looking sensor right at the front, and then basically sort of like a gorilla posture with 2 large arms and humanoid torso leading into a smaller set of legs, but still kind of spindly gracile.
Well, I'm throwing EMP grenades, so this should have at least stunned it something.
Okay, so you EMP grenade or regular grenade?
EMP grenade. Since we're going up at robotics, EMP grenade should shut it off.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. You do not want to throw EMP grenades next to the central computer core for the installation.
Okay, I'll just try to throw regular grenades then.
Yeah, because the computer core, your primary objective is right there.
Okay,
so
make those regular grenades. They're just rigged photon grenades.
Okay, so between all the attacks, you blow off its right arm. The robot looks to the right arm, looks to the group, and says, in a pretty calm voice, and says, "Are you here to see to the recovery of the launch vehicle?"
Kara is caught off guard. What?
Chorog looks at Kara. Chorog looks at the robot. That thing just talk perfect English.
Yeah,
it's translated.
Strange.
You already have its language. Like you're conversing with Tamaran, so you already have the local language. So it's not perfect English.
Well, yeah, but it's not talking like the last robot either.
Yeah. So question though, why is Chorog speaking English? Isn't he Noskin?
So with that, we're gonna cut really quick over to Eli. So Eli, you're walking down the hall, and you hear something ahead of you.
All right, well, phaser up. I'm going in all sneaky beaky, like all tactical.
All right, so you're sneaky deaky, all tactical. Roll me a security control. 1 success. You are able to be somewhat sneaky, and you find ahead of you a skulking humanoid of some looming, shadowy description.
Keep your hands where you are.
Alien, the figure turns, and he's got glowing green eyes. He smirks, and the Romulan that you've encountered before when dealing with androids, Zacius Havoc, kind of smirks and says, hello there.
Oh, it's you. We have to stop meeting like this.
Quite. So, you're probably here about the robots.
We're here about the robots. You're probably here about the robots, aren't you?
Yeah, things have gone a little sideways.
We could see that. Does this have anything to do with those other robots we found before, or is this independent of that?
We're trying to get things under control. And then we switch back then to the big robot. And the big robot's trying to reattach its arm. It's not going in because the joint's been blown up.
Kara just kind of looks at him and says, "We've recovered the launch vehicle. It's safe. It's in space, but it's safe."
And the pilot.
She waves for at least Tamarin to poke his head out for a second.
Tamarin pokes his head out nervously, then sort of says, I'm undamaged. The robot says, very good, very good. When override hit and there's sort of like an untranslated hiss, the robot says, and we were released from protocols. We evaluated. Launch was danger to humanoid. Not let launch happen. Danger to humanoid. Barn calls back, there's an element of risk in all scientific endeavors, and then the robot just repeats, danger to humanoid.
Kara, meanwhile, just says, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
We then cut back over to Zacius and Eli. So Zacius says, we were here to evaluate the situation and determine whether the local populace was under threat to the robots here, and our infiltration measure and infiltration program caused an issue.
Oh, so your program did this?
Bit. I mean, it disabled the failsafe, and the robots just went into a loop. So, I'm trying to make it to the primary computer core, but I appear to be a little bit lost.
Yeah, I'd say you're a little lost. Speaking of which, is there a way down or to get up from being down? Because friend fell through a hole.
We can try to recover her. I think there might be an access shaft.
How do you know it's a her? He narrows his eyes.
That was me misspeaking. Let's just say he said them.
Okay.
There's a beep from O'Connor's comm badge.
O'Connor here.
This is Kara. We've got a very big fella back here.
Ah, interesting. I have a fellow with pointy ears here.
I see? Question mark?
You remember our friend
Don't
from
tell them about me.
before on that planet with the traders?
Oh, him.
Advocate's just sort of like trying to creep out of view from Eli.
He's like trying to awkwardly back up from. He just walks after him. Where are you going? You're going the wrong way.
All right.
Right, so we sort of have the computer core secure.
Oh, you're there. Okay, and you're at the computer core.
Yeah, and there's a big guy here, and he's just talking to us.
Well, that's fortuitous.
Yeah, because he's really big.
Yeah, that might be the primary guardian of the computer core. It's more of like a librarian figure.
You can say that, but this librarian is packing. Anyway, if you guys could, I don't know, tell us what to do or get over here or something, because, I'm out of my element here.
That's a calls from you hear from a vent, a sort of a grill on the floor, and she just calls up. We can beam. Our transporters are perfectly functional here.
Yeah, okay. Connor to the transport room. Please regroup us. Me, Setsa, and lock onto the Romulan signal near me.
Sure, the transport chief says, understood. Bringing you over right now, sir.
Still waiting.
So with that, you're beamed over to the transporter room. Setsa, meanwhile, is, well, for one, she's kind of, soaking wet. For the other part, she's got this, large fish that's trying to, that's just sort of, attached to her arm, sort of, biting it, kind of like the Klingon, ice fishing event.
Kara, meanwhile, is just kind of fidgeting awkwardly, being neither an engineer nor in a position where she should be shooting.
Trog has managed to find a crate. He found a crate, he upright and just sits down completely out of his element, just not even sure what to do now.
Okay. So, DB, meanwhile, has been trying to reattach the librarian's arm, and he does so using parts from the other android. It's not a great fix, but he's got an arm.
Rick will
I'm
be
sorry
assist.
about all this confusion. Just a big misunderstanding.
All right, so Rick?
Rick would just be assisting, but since the roles are done and all good, we don't need to.
You can make it better. He's just sort of got it, it's on, but not great.
Okay.
Now you've got it perfect. So, what is new? Be a little bit better, because you're using Starfleet tools and know-how. So, the librarian is back to functional, and he just sort of looks around and says, danger to humanoids. Cannot let launch take place. Warren says, yes, and that caused the evacuation, and we had to make a choice of, buy everything up and let the dream die, or take one shot, and it was worth it.
Yeah, and, the launch kind of took place already anyway, so,
Aesius just says awkwardly, I think the computer core, needs a reset. It kind of has a virus in it.
Do you want to tell them why it has a virus in it?
We're investigating, and investigation went a little sideways. We don't interfere in these situations. We get to handle the situation first. It's just the robots here are quite a bit more sensitive and prone to lashing out and going haywire.
Kara walks over to Zashius and gives him a dope slap upside the back of his head.
He just says, ow, what?
Eli whispers to Kara, total himbo energy.
So, Setsa, meanwhile, is taking care of the fish that's attached to her arm. She's having it beamed back to its home. Although she's trying to, geolocate, where the natural populations are, so she's taking a while on this one. Tamara in sort of rubs his chin and says, well, if the computer core needs resets of sorts, I do believe the backups are... they're probably over here, yes. He starts rifling through a desk and sort of throws what looks like a old box of donuts aside, and it's hopefully this drink. Yes, this backup copy has not been damaged. The others lost to science.
He was using floppy disks as coasters, wasn't he?
Quite possibly. I mean,
it's a 5 1/4. It's actually floppy.
So they've got some discs, and they've got the problem that the Conclave basically did a little oopsie and caused the robots to basically get overly protective and realize that the operation they were part of was a risk to the life of the local Dwemer, and decided to shut things down. First law of robotics kicked in.
Okay, so...
Guess who's coming back to the ship for questioning?
I was just going to say something like that.
Bryce sort of sidles over to Theseus. Theseus sighs. Bryce says, fortunately, I believe the access point for this is quite a bit of ways up. Up that catwalk, or up that ladder, across the catwalk, and then down. And you see way up high there's this access point. Yeah, you have to put this in there and then hit the buttons in the correct sequence. So, who would like to venture out and save this research project? Huh?
Grimnir
we can just
looks
beam
up.
you over there.
Grimnir looks up from what he's doing, which I'll get to in a minute, and he says, "What? You ain't got a ring of levitation?"
Kara also basically follows that up and looks at him and says, And I guess you've never heard of user, operability?
Well, we assume scuttling robots would be able to take care of this, but in present circumstances, they are, indisposed.
Grimnir chortles and goes back to what he's doing.
I suppose I would probably be most fit for this.
All right. So if you take the disc from Tamaran's hand, you can climb up the ladder and go across the catwalk. That would just be a single fitness security roll.
All right. 14.
2 successes. You are able to nimbly climb over, and yeah, this poses no trouble to Rick. Tamaran calls, "You're doing great, lad. Definitely helping science here." And with that, you are now at the control panel, basically on a ladder, very high up in the control room. So you insert the disc, and Tamaran is giving you sort of a PDF of the button sequence you need to reset the core.
All right.
It's a half-stained user manual, but it has the correct sequence.
All right. I'll...
What's the role? Control engineering or?
Yeah, let's just do control engineering.
Alrighty then. Other 2 successes.
2 successes. You're able to reboot the core. It basically takes a little bit of a moment. There's a clicking and whirring sound. It's very mechanical in its operation, so it starts rotating around. Kind of looks almost a bit orrery-like, but it's sort of built into a single column with some elements built into it, and the station just starts thrumming to life. The display screens light up, and there's a bunch of warning noises about robots being inoperable. And then the news comes on. And the news broadcasts are just filled with headlines like "Robot Uprising," "Tamaran feared dead."
Kara takes a very deep breath and just kind of looks at Zashius for a moment.
And he's trying to remain as nonchalant as possible right now.
Waiting him up to the brig. Settle him in with BD-20. We'll get to him later.
Bryce nods and beams up with Zashius.
Rick will start.
I should have given the order, but all right.
Rick will start climbing down, and as he gets down to the ladder, go, and that, people, is why you always document everything.
Keep good backups.
Marin sort of hums I should probably make some calls.
Anyway, apologies, First Officer, but it seemed obvious that he wanted to get away first chance he got.
Yeah, no, I was literally right about to get... You did the right thing, so I'm not going to hold it against you.
She looks around. There's nothing left to shoot.
I know.
I go home now.
So Tamaran says, yes, I think I should be fine here. It'd be useful if someone stayed with... And Setz is already raising her hand and says, I'm in the middle of analysis here, so yeah, I can stay and, be the alien example.
We'll also see if Graves can beam down and do the whole first contact thing.
Let's face it, we're not leaving for a while, given all the stuff we need to sort out now.
Yeah.
Grimnir looks up from what he's doing, says, "Oh, I guess I'll stay too, since I wasn't planning on going anywhere anyway." Goes back to what he's doing.
What is he doing?
So all that's been going on. The second the shooting and the fighting stopped and there was talking, and Grimnir realized he wasn't needed for anything, and Trog didn't know what to do with himself, and Kara was fidgeting awkwardly, Grimnir saw one of the computer terminals, walked up to it, and started looking for the Dwemer's historical database to try to figure out how long they've been here. And he's just basically been looking up their entire history.
And I have this image that it's like this huge hulking Grimnir gently pushing keys, looking like Mr. Incredible.
Let's go ahead and have you do a reason science roll for Grimnir, which would be a 11.
I was saying 11 is very generous.
I know.
He's not dumb. He's not. Grimnir is far from dumb.
Familiarity too.
I was about to say he'd have had it anyway, so.
Yeah, so he's got 2 successes. So he does pull a copy of their history for himself,
Okay.
which basically consists of, at some point, I don't want to put centuries or millennia on this because I'm not super familiar with where Skyrim takes place relative to the Great Migration of the Dwemer.
It's
millennia.
It's been a couple thousand years.
Yeah,
Couple thousand years, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking at least that. I wasn't quite sure if it was like older or even like on the more of the scale of 800. But basically, a couple thousand years ago, the Dwemer were relocated from their ancestral homeworld. Much of that information, though, has basically been lost to history. They've got like oral stories of myth about their old homeworld, but they don't really have much stock in that. It's basically kind of taken as like stories of Beowulf or the Norse mythology. It's basically taken as almost sort of like a religious element. Recent scholars have suggested that they were transplanted by an alien species, but that has been a really toxic and contentious point of science of trying to debate whether or not they came from aliens or they were relocated by aliens from another place. The paleontologists have tried to read into that, but they've been basically shouted down. At any rate, though, you find that the civilization kind of rebuilt from what scraps of technology that were brought with them, and that included the automata. So that's...
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I was laughing at what Nick said in chat.
Yeah, so basically, you don't have that much for, like, prehistory, but basically you see the progression for how they settled and very rapidly urbanized, to the point where in a couple thousand years they're able to get to warp travel from a relatively low population density.
He starts looking up correlations of things he knows. One of the first things he looks up is oh god, what's that guy's name? Hold on, let me look it up. Yagrum.
Which one?
Bagarn. He looks up if there's any information related to Yagrum Bagarn.
Like, he's listed as one of the mythological figures, but in very fragmented stories.
He looks to see if there's a way he can do a user edit to that file. And
I mean, you wouldn't be able to like change anything. Like, you're not accessing like all libraries on the planet, so you wouldn't be able to. Like, you're basically interfacing on that one computer, and it's like a version of Encyclopedia Encarta.
Okay. So there's no way he can put like a user edit or like there's no talk page or anything like that?
No, they don't have Wikipedia.
Damn.
Oof.
Because he wanted to leave a little note, still alive.
And
Ooh, actually, you know,
here.
that's what Grimnir does. Grimnir raises his hand and looks to Tamara and says, Hey, got a question for you. How do I make an edit?
I believe you'd have to contact the publisher.
Can you get him on the horn?
I'm kind of busy talking to our Supreme Chancellor.
Oh, you say?
Yes, sir, that's one of the aliens.
Yeah, because that guy's still around.
Yeah, so he doesn't catch that because he's flustered, but yeah, basically, everyone at this point, though, like, if you've chosen to stay behind, you're basically there for, like, you know, support, but you're free to beam back to Reliant and let Graves handle the mess.
I'm going to deal with the brig.
This mess will require more handling, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so he is going to have a busy week ahead of himself.
I'm dealing with our new brig friend.
All right, so let's go to the brig.
Kara's also going to be there because, you know, yeah. So now we've got a robot and a Romulan.
BD-20 says, "Oh yes, a very fine facility they have here. My friend, you know, put your trust behind the Federation, because after all, they know how to make a good set of binoculars. That's a mark of a civilization there, binoculars. Very fine optics. Put your trust behind those." And basically, Zacius is looking at, like, you know, just hearing this from across the cell and just kind of figuring that he's just being completely trolled right now by a mad android or just like a holographic simulation of one.
Yeah, we picked him up on the last space station. He's got problems.
Right. So?
So you virused a non-first contact civilization to try to gain information, I guess?
Unintentionally, it wasn't built as a virus. It became one. Trying to get the situation under control, and then Eli showed up and his sewer friend.
That doesn't change the fact that you were still doing this before we showed up.
You caused thousands of credits of worth of damage, if not millions. You terrified an entire populace. I don't want to even look at the injury reports yet.
It was a hectic situation.
Bit more than hectic, I'd say, but...
Yes.
You're not offering up much of a defense of yourself at this point.
I mean, I was trying to fix the situation getting to the computer core. I was one operative trying to maintain low profile and not make contact with the locals. They did not know I was there, and I was going to fix their systems once I arrived.
Mm-hmm.
Did you plant the virus itself, or was that another agent?
No, that was another agent. That was Mercy.
Alright, so we can't book him on that, but...
I mean, again, we're just trying to survey the situation, do it without making contact. I mean, your Federation has done the same and made first contact accidentally with peoples who did not meet your qualifications for first contact. However, the Conclave is not bound by the same legal representation.
Kara waves that off. I'm more concerned about the injuries caused when the robots went amok, and the fact that you terrified an entire civilization into believing that they had an AI uprising.
Yes, we were doing our best for that. With the solution broadly lining up with your own.
Where's your ship? How did you get here?
Infiltration ship. It's probably departed once they detected you were in system and beamed me up.
Oh, this is going to be so much fun. Okay, so she looks at, Eli for permission to continue here because she has thoughts.
Eli gestures for her to do so.
I think what's most likely to happen here is that this is going to become a diplomatic thing now. Congratulations, you're the first point of contact between the Conclave and the Federation. And when Graves is done putting out fires down there, he's going to come talk to you, and they're going to have a nice little meeting. And then I imagine there'll be communications.
I could handle it. We don't need to get Graves involved just yet.
Oh.
As you say, sir.
Yes, I believe it. Yes, indeed. So, how would you like to handle this?
We'll talk. Have you eaten at all?
Had a ration bar earlier.
It sounds like that sucks.
Oh,
If you say so, well, we could talk over food and figure this shit out.
very well.
Kara salutes. I'd like to go take a nap, if I may, sir.
By all means.
Thank you, sir.
Cut to Setsa down on the planet with her fish that had accompanied her. She's walking up to a scummy-looking pond and shouting, "All right, Jeremy, all right, our time has been short, but I hope you all the best and have lots and lots of little fish babies. Oh, okay, so goodbye!" And she just, slips it into the river and waves as the fish disappears, and it cuts back up to Reliant.
Eli lets Zacius out of the brig.
And you're out of the brig, so,
Wait, I'm out of the brig?
well, you let him out of the brig.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Alright, well, yeah, let's get you actual food.
Very well. He sort of, puts his hands in his pockets and glumly follows along with Eli.
Not getting your weapons back just yet, but anyway, to Club 42.
So they proceed over to Club 42, where anyone else who is wrapped up with their stuff is free to be.
It's pretty quiet in here.
It's really very quiet.
That's what happens when Grimnir's not behind the bar.
Oh.
Kara went to go take a nap.
So, at this point, Mary is in the bar, just reading the data. She's just, starting to read, she's been busy with some stuff, just, catching up on paperwork and maintenance stuff. So she starts looking at the reports from the current mission.
Hold on, I'm trying to find a good, There we go. This is the look on Mary's face as soon as she reads all about the Dwemer and everything.
And just then, Daniel walks in holding the crystal, reading something off of a data pad.
Yeah, he is basically holding something that is derived from a soul gem. Just walking past Mary.
That's where
Mary-
Jeremy's cousin is.
Mary looks. She's just watching wide-eyed, like, oh fuck.
And unless anyone has any scenes, we can go ahead and call that the end of the episode.
I do have one scene.
Okie dokie.
Well, do you want to do something with finding out more about the conclave stuff, or like I forget where we left off with that. My brain is bad meat.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, you've gotten basically enough to have like reports on the conclave. I mean, you asked Starfleet for information a while back, so you now have like intel reports of like, you know, possible connections with Tal Shiar, but at the same time, independence and a very strong fear of robots.
We'll look into that like RP chat or something. But you know what? Scene now. Eli is in his quarters with his rifle that he used. Curious about it. Plugging some wires into it. He checks the firmware, looking it over. Starfleet. This is the 23rd. Nothing like this is what 23rd century.
Is Eli's door open?
Yes.
John walks by with an ice cream cone.
Eli does not notice because he is focused on going through the phaser rifle's firmware.
John.
A moment later, BD-20 walks by, carrying an ice cream cone.
How did he get out? What?
Good question of how he got out. He's got out. And John sort of pops back in and says, Eli, how mission?
Was fine. We've managed to make sure things didn't set themselves on fire down there and shot a few things.
Yay!
He goes back to inspecting the rifle. No, something's weird about this. It says
Making
it's
rifle all
Starfleet
happy?
from the 23rd century, but there's nothing in any database with a schematic close to this.
Lieutenant Tardigrade walks up to it and puts his hand on it and says, feels funny.
That's vague.
Like, you know, like if you can't, tardigrades have a sense. Like we know when things are here, and then this thing it wasn't always here.
So you're saying this is from another place?
Yeah, but like not like moving in like space, like left, right. It's more like sploosh.
Sploosh.
They're not good words for it.
I feel like sploosh is the worst word to use for that.
It's kind of like when you go into sport space and there's like there's a feeling of spatial sploosh if you're diving, except you're not diving, you're going through space. Sploosh.
So, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to understand how you mean.
Like maybe it kind of come like from like another place, as in like, you know, we've got our place, and then like the Mirror Terrans have their place, another place.
I don't think this is Terran, but
Like,
concerning.
another place. Like,
Okay, that's so hey, if temporal investigations come, you didn't see this.
Righto, like you didn't see me getting ice cream with BD-20.
Fine, I did not see that. But
Hey.
why are you just out of sheer curiosity more than anything else?
We loaded up the funfair program on the holodeck, and we got ice cream and went around the whirly thing and went around the Wushi coaster.
He can't eat ice cream, John.
He's trying. He has initiative.
Okay, I can't fault him for that.
Meanwhile, BD-20 just sort of like face plants in the hall.
Well, think your friend needs help.
Okay. Good luck making rifle happy. And he totters out.
Alright, well, shit.
I dare say this ground out here is quite unstable.
And with that, do we have any other scenes?
Yes, seeing as the Reliant will be in station for quite some time, Rick here will be starting the new build of JT's. It's LJ's. His little lizard buddy. The terrarium network. So it'll be things of interconnected boxes with power, with different sort of like ecologies, but also there's like also a little map that he is starting to build, like that will show exactly where LJ is throughout this network at any time.
Yeah, so that is going to be a insight engineering roll. One success. So you're making progress. You are making your way to building this system.
It's sort of like the biggest flurry of activity that Reliant has seen. Technically, this would probably be a full engineering team, like side project, while the ship is in station and there's no real, no damage control or no power reallocation sort of requirements. While in this sort of little bit of downtime that the engineering team has, sort of all combined to do this little bit of a project.
And you're able to build it, or you're able to start making progress on it with the engineering team's help. And LJ, in the meanwhile, is sunning himself on his rock in his regulatory area. He is a happy-looking lizard.
And by the way, Rick has done taken him to the doctor, taken him to Setzer, and done all the. Well, I mean, he's got the documentation on all the food, doesn't he, that he needs. So he's just sort of kept himself up to date on that, and just taking a break every time again to feed and just sort of scritch.
Yeah, and you get that going along, and John, meanwhile, after having helped BT, is he's kind of like just following along with the elaborate setup as it's being constructed. Anything else?
I got
all right. So, thank you all for joining us tonight on this adventure of Star Trek Reliant, and we will be back in a couple of weeks here with another thrilling adventure with the Reliant crew, hopefully involving fewer robots. So,
yeah, good luck with that.
we might be building a theme here towards something that Duncan is planning, but never mind for right now. Anyway, though, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being awesome in general. If you'd like to get a hold of us, we have an email at reliant@starbasecgc.com, and I'd also like to say that I'm working on getting some streaming shenanigans started up for some stuff over the summer, so we should be hosting some cool stuff then. So keep an eye out for that, or an ear out. We'll definitely shout out on the podcast itself, but also on Twitter, following us variously. So with that, again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining, and we'll be seeing you in a couple of weeks here.
Don't forget to remind them about Reliant at starbasecgc.com.
What's that website again?
You heard it.
Reliant at starbasecgc.com.
It's an email.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Toodles,
What are you
toodles.
doing? It's over.